I don't need this garbage.
She lifted the hem of her wedding dress and stomped on the bouquet. I had designed it and crafted it with such care for this special day. Everyone around seemed confused about what had just happened. The only one smiling was the bride. What a truly worthless woman. I felt my body tremble with anger.
Mom, let's go home. I can't deal with that woman anymore.
Yes, you're right. That's for the best. At that moment, the room went dark and a video began playing on the screen. David stood beside me, looking bewildered. This wasn't part of the plan. Then someone unexpected appeared, holding a microphone. My name is Betty. I'm 59 years old. I run a flower shop in a small town. My husband passed away in a car accident 25 years ago. Since then, my son, David, and I have supported each other, living life the best we could. David is a thoughtful and caring son, and now he works at one of the top companies in the country. If I had one complaint, it would be that David has never had any romantic relationships. David, isn't there anyone nice at your company?
Are we talking about this again? Come on, Mom.
I just want you to get married, have a family, and be happy.
I appreciate that, but I've been too busy to meet anyone.
Then one day, David brought home a woman. She was tall, with almond-shaped eyes, and looked a bit older than him. He said they met through a friend and were already engaged. For some reason, David's expression was clouded, and he seemed reluctant.
Mom, this is my partner, Rachel Myers.
I'm Rachel Myers. It's nice to meet you, Betty.
Rachel Myers? Wait, Rachel Myers, as in? It was exactly who I thought. She was the only daughter of one of the biggest landowners in the area. The land where my flower shop stands is leased from her father. Rachel grinned slyly. From that day on, her reign of selfishness began. Rachel's father's name is John Myers. As mentioned before, he is one of the biggest landowners in the area. John has had a bad reputation since his younger days. He was the type who thrived on being disliked, and he used his influence to the fullest. Maybe it was because of her father, but Rachel was just as spoiled and entitled. After getting engaged to David, she moved into our home and started acting like she owned the place.
Betty, I'm hungry. When's dinner going to be ready? Hurry up, will you?
If you're that hungry, how about helping out? Or better yet, why don't you eat dinner at your own house?
It's way more comfortable here. Besides, my mom left us years ago. She couldn't stand my dad and just disappeared. Now hurry up and make dinner already.
Rachel acted like a princess, as if she could get away with any demand. Anytime I resisted even a little, she'd bring up the land.
Betty, don't you care about your flower shop? The land it's on belongs to my father, right? We could take it back anytime we want, you know?
Rachel, please stop. That's an unfair threat.
Then don't go against me.
Apparently, this was the same tactic she used to snare David. She easily landed a young, promising man working for a major company. Now Rachel ruled our household. Neither David nor I could stand up to her. Rachel was a heavy drinker and a chain smoker. Since she moved in, the house constantly reeked of smoke. I asked her repeatedly to smoke outside, but she ignored me. No matter how many times I mentioned it was bad for her health or that it might harm a future child, she didn't care.
Stop nagging. Let me do what I want. I'm so stressed out from work, okay?
Rachel works at a trading company. There, she plays the role of a refined, well-mannered lady. In other words, she puts on a perfect act to hide her rude and selfish nature. When she comes home from work, she overcompensates by becoming loud, crude, and demanding. Because of Rachel's two-faced behavior, I never felt at ease in my own home.
Hey, Betty. There's no wine left. Why didn't you buy more? You're useless.
Sorry, I didn't realize it would run out so quickly.
Go get more now. You got 10 seconds. Hurry up.
Please don't be so hard on Mom. I'll go get it. The usual wine, right?
David reluctantly left the house. Lately, he always seemed apologetic. I think he blamed himself for bringing Rachel into our home. But it wasn't David's fault. He was just trying to protect my flower shop. The real problem was Rachel, who took advantage of his kind heart and used it to her benefit. Thinking about the situation continuing forever after they got married was unbearable. There were only 6 months left until David and Rachel's wedding. Unlike Rachel, who was excited, David looked miserable. As they planned the venue, the food, and the dress, he sighed constantly. After one too many sighs, Rachel clicked her tongue and snapped.
David, do you hate the idea of marrying me that much? I'm willing to marry a boring guy like you who couldn't get a girlfriend otherwise.
I didn't say that. I'm sorry. I'm just tired. It's fine. I'll go through with the wedding.
Good. You'd better. Now let's decide on the venue and the gifts. Stop dragging your feet.
David held back his sighs, looking exhausted and pitiful. I wanted to help him, but I didn't know how. Of course, I thought about giving up the flower shop. I could try opening a new shop somewhere else. But this shop held the dreams of my late husband, who loved flowers. I couldn't bear to give it up. When Rachel was in the bath, David often apologized to me.
I'm so sorry, Mom. This is all because I didn't end things with her sooner.
I keep telling you, David, it's not your fault, it's mine. I'm too attached to the shop, so she uses that against me. I'm the one who should be sorry.
Don't say that, Mom. It's not your fault either. No one's to blame. I just wish we could find a way to break things off with her.
Call me a doting parent, but David is a good-looking guy. Even though he didn't realize it, plenty of women had probably been interested in him. It was just bad luck that he got tangled up with someone like Rachel. I wish we could find a way to end things with Rachel, just like David said. Not a day went by that I didn't think that. One day, Mark came to the shop. Mark Golding is 34 years old. To me, he's like another son. Even if we weren't related by blood, we were connected by something deeper. Loyal, tough, broad-shouldered, and though his face looked intimidating, his smile was warm. The problem is, Mark is part of the mafia. Sometimes his presence would make other customers leave.
Hi, Betty.
Hey, Mark. Welcome.
You don't seem yourself. Something's wrong, isn't it? Business trouble? Just tell me. We're close after all.
Thank you, Mark. You're right. There's no need to hide it from you. About 10 years ago, I saved Mark's life. He was injured and on the run from members of a rival gang, and I hid him in the shop. Apparently, there was a gang war going on, and ever since then, he's been loyal to me. Mark never knew his mother, so he looks up to me as a mother figure. When I mentioned Rachel, Mark's face turned serious, and he said, "John's daughter, right?"
You're like a mother to me, Betty, and David is like a little brother. I can't just stand by and let someone trouble you too.
But Mark, do you have a plan? I don't want anything dangerous, no police involvement, and no violence.
Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Just trust me. But there's one thing I need you to do, Betty.
I decided to go along with Mark's plan. I had no other options and no one else to turn to. Following his instructions, I made a modification to the living room. I never imagined what kind of outcome that would lead to.
We're going all out and taking a trip around the world for our honeymoon.
When Rachel said that, I was stunned. David looked just as shocked. "We don't have that kind of money," he said, shaking his head.
Just paying for the wedding is already a huge expense. A round-the-world honeymoon is out of the question.
I know, my dad was against it too. But when I decide on something, I go through with it. Besides, there's someone here who can pay for it.
Wait, you mean me? You're planning to use my savings? Rachel was telling me to cover the cost of their honeymoon. I wouldn't mind giving David a large sum of money. He's my only son, and I plan to leave all my savings to him eventually. But funding Rachel's selfish whims was another story. Especially when David wasn't on board. The thought of spending money just for Rachel made me sick. But Rachel ignored my feelings completely. She glared at me with a piercing look.
Of course, you'll pay for it, right? If you refuse, just know that your shop will be gone in an instant.
Rachel, that's not fair. Mom's shop means everything to her. Using it like a hostage is cruel.
Shut up. Betty, what's it going to be?
Fine, I'll pay for the trip, but there's a limit to how much I can give. And just like that, I ended up footing the bill for their honeymoon. I'll never forget Rachel's smug smile and David's pained expression. Afterward, Rachel tried to pick the most luxurious plan she could find. David desperately tried to stop her, and in the end, they settled on a $30,000 plan. It was as expensive as the wedding itself, and nearly all my savings were gone. After 6 months of enduring everything, the day of David and Rachel's wedding finally arrived. To my shock, Rachel, in her excitement, downed the welcome cocktails herself. I'd never heard of a bride getting drunk right before the ceremony. I couldn't shake my sense of dread. Despite everything, this was still David's wedding, and there was a part of me that wanted to be happy for him. Being a florist, I arranged all the flowers for the venue with my staff. I even made the bouquet myself. I carefully chose each flower and created the most beautiful bouquet I could. But when I handed it to Rachel, she smirked, still tipsy.
I don't need this garbage.
She lifted the hem of her wedding dress and stomped on the bouquet. The staff, David, and I were all stunned. Her outrageous behavior left us speechless. What a truly awful woman. I felt my body tremble with anger. The guests sensed something was wrong and grew uneasy. Among them was Rachel's father, John. Even as a powerful landowner, John clearly struggled with his spoiled daughter. He shook his head slowly and sighed as if to say, "Here we go again." The only one having fun was Rachel, laughing hysterically. David was furious. He turned his back on Rachel and walked over to me.
I can't do this. I'm calling off the wedding and going home. How can I marry someone like that? She stomped on your bouquet.
David's eyes blazed with anger. I nodded at my son. We had been insulted beyond measure. Even if it meant sacrificing the shop, this was the moment to stand up to her.
Mom, let's go home. I can't deal with that woman anymore.
Yes, you're right. That's for the best. Just as I turned my back on the altar, the room suddenly went dark and a video began to play on the screen. David stood next to me, bewildered. This wasn't part of the plan. Then, an unexpected figure appeared holding a microphone.
Well, Rachel, only someone as rotten as you could stomp on a heartfelt bouquet.
Wait, Mark.
Mark, what are you doing here?
Hey, I wasn't invited, but I came anyway. David, I'm telling you, don't marry her. That Rachel over there is bad news, and I'm about to explain why.
The room buzzed with whispers. It seemed Mark had spoken with the staff beforehand. No one tried to stop him. Maybe they were afraid of the mafia. In fact, the staff efficiently followed Mark's instructions.
All right, everyone, take your seats. No need to get formal. Just relax and watch the screen. We're about to expose the real Rachel.
What? Hold on a second. This is my wedding. David, is this your surprise? Say something.
David has nothing to do with this. I arranged everything, and don't bother talking to the staff. They only listen to me now. All right, roll the first clip.
The video appeared on the screen, and the room gasped. It showed a woman who looked like Rachel, wearing over-the-top makeup and flashing a V sign with her long manicured nails. People started laughing at how ridiculous it looked. The video seemed to be from her coworkers. When the shocking photo appeared, Rachel, caught in the spotlight, turned bright red.
Stop it. That's from my past. Who gave you these photos? Stop this right now. That's an order from the bride.
I told you, they're not listening to you. Only my instructions matter now. And after you stomped on the bouquet Betty gave you, who's going to respect you?
This is infuriating. Who are you? I never invited you. What reason do you have for doing this?
I didn't get an invite either, but if you hadn't crossed the line, maybe it wouldn't have come to this. You made Betty suffer, and that's reason enough. Show the second one.
The screen displayed Rachel, shockingly half-naked. Around her, a crowd of half-naked men pressed in close. Several women in the audience screamed at the shocking sight. Rachel did the same, her face turning pale. "What is this? Stop it!" she screamed in a panic.
Please stop. How did you get this photo? Just make it go away. I'm begging you.
Shut up. Take your punishment. Everyone, I apologize for showing you such an unpleasant image. But this is her true nature. The man-hungry, selfish Rachel you see before you.
Stop it. Just stop.
She's been this way since her college days, traveling around on her daddy's dime, chasing men. This photo was given to me by one of those guys, a souvenir from back then.
The setting was a hotel room. More than 10 men crowded around. Rachel was the only woman, posing like a queen. She clearly enjoyed having so many men fawn over her. The room buzzed with shock, and her co-workers looked visibly disgusted. Her relatives, including her father John, looked appalled. John shook his head in disbelief.
Why? How did you get this?
Don't underestimate a mafia's ability to dig up dirt. I've got plenty more embarrassing photos where that came from. Honestly, it's disgusting how many guys you've been with.
Stop it. Don't say any more. Wait, you're mafia? Why are you targeting me? What's your connection to David and that old hag?
Don't you dare call Betty an old hag. She's a far more wonderful woman than you'll ever be. Over 10 years ago, she saved my life.
Since then, he's been looking for an opportunity to repay me. Mark said this in front of everyone, then looked at David with gentle eyes. He had the calm, caring expression of a real older brother, nothing like a typical mafia member.
I think of David like a little brother, and when someone like him is suffering because of a cruel woman, I can't just sit back and do nothing.
Mark.
An unexpected ally, Mark stood before us. Thanks to him, the tables had completely turned. Rachel was visibly shaken. Mark's revelations weren't over yet. Next one, he shouted. The screen began playing a video. It showed our living room. Rachel, her face flushed with wine, was sitting on the couch, blankly watching TV.
What the? Wait a minute. How did you get this? Why is there a video of me? This is David's living room. Was I being recorded?
She was right. It went back to the day I confided in Mark. He had told me to install a hidden camera in the living room. The goal was to capture how Rachel was mistreating David and me. For what purpose? I wondered at the time, but now it was clear, to show everyone the truth. On the screen, Rachel began shouting at me to prepare some snacks.
Wow, what a future wife. Who talks to their partner's mother like that? Don't you see how wrong this is?
Shut up. It's none of your business. Some relationships just work this way.
What kind of relationship is that? You're just a spoiled brat hiding behind your daddy's power. You threatened Betty, saying the land her shop's on belongs to your father and that you'd evict her if she didn't do what you wanted, didn't you?
Well, maybe I said that, but it was a joke. I didn't really mean it.
Rachel couldn't deny it convincingly. Her relatives and co-workers were visibly disgusted. They were shocked by the fact that she had threatened her future mother-in-law. The video continued, now showing Rachel talking about the honeymoon. There's nothing more fun than traveling on someone else's dime, she laughed with her mouth wide open. Her expression was so ugly that nearly everyone in the room frowned in disgust.
Stop it. Just stop already.
I heard you're planning a round-the-world trip, and you expect Betty to pay for it all? That's just cruel. You're draining her retirement savings dry. Poor Betty.
Stop it. You think I'll let you get away with this? You won't. I'm going to the police.
Go ahead. Bring the cops. Until then, let's enjoy this little expose. Look, the next video's starting.
In the next video, Rachel's face was flushed red. The table was covered with bottles of alcohol. Rachel, completely wasted, was hurling insults at David. Her speech was so slurred, it was impossible to understand what she was saying. The audience chuckled. Embarrassed, Rachel buried her face in her hands at the front table.
Hey, you co-workers of hers, aren't you glad you came today? This piece of work pretends to be all sweet and quiet at the office, right? Well, this is who she really is.
Stop it. Don't say this is the real me. Everyone acts a little different when they've had a drink.
Drunk or sober, you're two-faced, and that's the truth.
Finally, Rachel covered her face and began to cry. The humiliation of having those photos and videos shown had clearly broken her. As much as she deserved it, even I felt a pang of pity for her as a fellow woman.
No, I can't take this anymore. How can I go to work tomorrow? I'm too ashamed to even show my face. What did I do to deserve this?
How many times do I have to say it? You tormented Betty and David. That's reason enough.
At that moment, her father, John, who had been silently watching the chaos, stood up. It seemed he couldn't ignore his crying daughter any longer.
Please, stop this. She seems genuinely remorseful. Don't you think she suffered enough? I'm asking you as her father. I'm begging you.
That's not going to happen. First of all, your daughter isn't sorry. She hasn't apologized to Betty or David. Isn't there something you should say as her father?
Rachel, what about it? Are you going to apologize to them?
Why should I apologize? What did I even do wrong? You can apologize for me, Dad.
Mark slumped his shoulders in frustration. Even after all this humiliation, Rachel showed no remorse. Her complete lack of self-awareness was appalling. Rachel was a monster. A selfish, entitled monster with an inflated ego. Honestly, it seemed hopeless. All this humiliation felt like it was going to waste.
Did you hear that, John? Your daughter is seriously messed up. You must have spoiled her rotten. Don't you think you bear some responsibility?
This has nothing to do with me. I don't care.
Like father, like daughter. Seems the big landowner is just as shameless. So you're not going to apologize to Betty and David on her behalf?
Not a chance. If someone did something wrong, they should apologize themselves.
A vein twitched on Mark's temple. John's arrogance was well known in the community. Being a wealthy landowner had made him self-important since childhood. Mark was right. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. But Mark remained calm and composed. He didn't show the slightest hint of panic or agitation. It was like he had predicted this outcome.
Fine. That spoiled brat is a lost cause, So now it's your turn to face the consequences.
What are you talking about? I won't be lectured by some low-life mafia.
Is that so? Ask yourself deep down. Just like your daughter, you're no better than the mafia.
What do you mean? Say it clearly if you've got something to say.
Mark gave some instructions to the staff. It seemed he was telling them to switch to another piece of data. Soon, the screen displayed a wide stretch of land under construction. It looked like an ordinary construction site. But for some reason, John's face turned pale.
This footage shows redevelopment in a certain part of the city. John, this is your land, isn't it?
Yes, but so what?
I heard from the people who lived here. You hiked up the rent and forced the tenants to move out, didn't you?
What? Where did you hear that? That's a lie. I never did anything like that.
Whether it was a lie or not was doubtful. John's ruthless and cold-hearted nature was well known. He was the kind of man who would sacrifice anything for his own gain. Forcing residents to leave by making unreasonable demands was probably second nature to him. The only reason he was denying it now was because of the crowd and his pride. Mark didn't let up. The photos switched one after another. The explanation flowed smoothly and without hesitation.
There's talk that you rented out old, dilapidated buildings without making repairs, leaving them in illegal conditions. Meanwhile, you kept charging exorbitant rent. The residents were complaining about how impossible it was.
I don't know anything about that. It's got nothing to do with me.
Then what about this? Fraudulent subsidy claims.
Fraudulent claims. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Everyone latched onto this clear-cut crime. Sweat beaded on John's forehead. His breathing grew heavy, and his panic was obvious.
You claim to be using farmland and vacant lots for redevelopment, taking subsidies and grants from the state and local government. But in reality, you do nothing and pocket the funds. Isn't that how you've been lining your pockets?
Ridiculous. If that were true, it would have been exposed by now. The government would never approve it. Isn't that right?
That's where the big landowner thing comes in handy. You've got friends in the local government who are in on it, accepting bribes, right?
That's a lie. I would never do something like that. Stop making these accusations. Do you want me to sue you?
Mark remained calm and collected. It seemed he had solid evidence. John, on the other hand, was visibly shaken by Mark's confidence.
Give it up. I don't make these claims without proof. You've roped in your relatives too, haven't you? Using fake transactions to dodge taxes?
One of John's relatives flinched visibly. It was obvious to everyone that he was involved. His panicked expression was almost comical. John grimaced and shook his head, staring at the floor.
Seems your family members aren't as tough as you are. You faked selling your land to relatives or related companies, manipulating the sale price to evade taxes. Isn't that right?
Wait, that's not true. Everyone, please listen to me. He's lying.
Oh, it's true. Should I show the proof on the screen? Everyone, get your cameras ready.
Wait, stop. Please don't.
John's desperate attempts to stop him said it all. There was no doubt. He had committed fraud and profited illegally. The room fell silent. The staff and guests were all frozen in shock. Amidst the silence, Mark slowly walked toward John. John took a step back.
Like I said before, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You two really are the worst. Even the mafia has more honor, you know?
What do you want? Just say it.
Make that spoiled daughter of yours call off the wedding. A loser like her isn't good enough for David. I'm sure she finally gets it now, don't you?
Yes, I'm sorry.
It was the first time I'd ever heard Rachel apologize. After everything Mark put her through, even she seemed to have learned her lesson. Seeing his daughter apologize, John dropped to his knees, looking like he had given up.
I'll be sure to let the cops know about your dirty tricks. And don't worry, I have the evidence to back it up. Better be ready.
This can't be.
Betty, David, that's my cue to go.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark smiled and walked away. The other guests left too, whispering to each other as they went. We apologized to them and thanked the staff as well. The only ones left standing awkwardly were John and Rachel. Let's split the cost of the venue and cancel the honeymoon right away. Oh, and you're covering the cancellation fee, of course.
The whole amount.
Of course. The wedding's off. This is no joke.
If you can't manage the full amount, ask John to help you out. I want nothing more to do with your family. Remember that. I turned my back on them with a firm finality. Rachel looked like she wanted to say something, but I didn't owe her any more of my time. As David and I walked away, Rachel and her father hung their heads in silence. Rachel reportedly became deeply isolated at her workplace. She soon quit her job and withdrew into her home, never coming out again. After the public humiliation she endured, it wasn't surprising. But even that home would soon be gone. Her last hope, her father, was arrested for fraudulently receiving subsidies.
If you receive subsidies through fraud, you face up to 5 years in prison, a fine of up to $10,000 or both. That's what the law says.
Since he's been committing crimes for years, I'm sure there's a lot more dirt to uncover. The amount he'll have to pay will be huge. Indeed, I heard John was forced to pay an enormous sum. He was ordered to pay restitution and back taxes for decades of wrongdoing. Normally, the statute of limitations for back taxes is 5 years, but serious fraud has no such limit. Faced with a massive debt, John had to sell his mansion and land. Later, Rachel and John were abandoned even by their own relatives. The two of them left town and moved far away to a rural village in the deep south. In that town, where no one knows them, John and Rachel now live in isolation and loneliness. I hope those two never show up in front of us again. That's my sincere wish. I'm truly glad they left town. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. After everything with Rachel, David and Mark grew even closer. Lately, they've even talked about going to singles events together. David, of course, is like a son to me. He's also the one who saved David and me when we were on the brink. I sincerely hope Mark finds happiness. Still, Rachel put both David and me through so much hardship. Even now, remembering those months we spent with her sends shivers down my spine. Her arrogance and cruelty toward others eventually brought her a harsh comeuppance. Thinking about it, I realized just how important humility is in life. Learning from Rachel's foolishness, I intend to continue living a modest and humble life.